that they were told that.
Right. And it was interesting. I mean, one of the first things, what I do like about what we do, it is not cookie cutter.
Right. Every
It is
situation, it's not a
every
one size
situation.
fits
No,
all
it is
plan.
not. Every situation is different. I don't care if you're single, married, whatever. Every situation is different. And this one person um did want their goal was to be able to maintain their lifestyle. They would like to have their same income when they're retired. And we cannot make that happen for everybody. I mean,
In this case, we can't.
in this case, we could easily and provide leverage and inheritance for their children and their family. We could do it all. It was wonderful. Um, she was told by the person where her funds currently are is that she did not need that kind of income.
That
And
blows me away that somebody would say that to her.
what upsets me so much is that, I mean, would he say that same thing to a man? I don't, I don't know. Um, but it just bothered me that he would say that because and I told this person the reason that I believed he said that is because he could not give that person that. He could not give them that kind of income with the guarantees that that person could have that income for life. Is the reason they didn't
Right,
they did
right. They
not
don't.
they they did not do that. So that's why it's so important when you find somebody that you want to work with, be sure that that's somebody that really listens to you and hears the whole thing and that you feel comfortable with because it's important to feel heard. It's important to have our needs met, especially when you've worked your whole life and you've accumulated this wealth. Who are you to tell me how I want to?
That's the part, honestly, that blows me away.
Because there's one thing, Greg, that you say in our seminars that really just, still shakes me. Are you ready to be unemployed the rest of your life?
By the way, Patty, somebody used our commercial.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
well,
yeah. Are you ready to
how
be
dare
unemployed for
them?
25 to 35 years? Was
But you know
was the
what?
commercial.
Because the caveat is that, it depends on what you want, etc. We may be able to make you employed your entire life.
Right, right.
And we can with these accounts that we have right now. We can make it to where your money works for you so that you are employed, your money is employed the rest of your life,
Right.
so that you can vacation the rest of your life.
That's right. That's right.
You don't have to sit in the unemployment line. You can be on the beach, drinking an iced tea or a margarita, whichever your pleasure is.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, exactly. You're absolutely right. And that's the problem with all of this, Patty, is nobody knows what they're going to do if the market takes a hit. I mean, they don't.
And the other thing that
They're not prepared for it.
another thing that you talk about that I love is who bailed out our government during the Depression.
It was the insurance companies.
Thank you for asking.
It was the insurance companies. And that's huge because people don't realize that. Here's the thing. I say this often, Patty, but I say you've got your life with insurance, you have your car, automobile with insurance, you have your homeowners with insurance, you have your umbrella insurance for your assets. Why not use insurance to insure your money?
The first time you said that recently, well, you probably have said it many times before, but actually I listened this time. And when you said that, it really, really shook me. I was like, oh my gosh, that is so true.
It is.
So, you
It
know,
really is.
and not only the um annuities that we just talk about, etc., but it is not until I started working with you that I ever thought of life insurance for something other than my death.
Yeah, I mean, we did that article. It's on our website, how you can be the beneficiary of your own life insurance. And
And
I call it living insurance.
I like that.
Living insurance. And that's what PSLIP stands for, folks. When we talk about PSLIP, it's properly structured life insurance plan. It's setting up the insurance for you. One of the key components, I had to talk with one of my best friends. I've been involved with him for ministry. I got to the subject He's in a tremendous amount of debt. And I asked him how much insurance that he had. He says he's got 250. His wife's got 250. His home's worth 400. He owes money on the home.
Mhm.
If something happened to him, the wife's lifestyle would change drastically, and there's not enough money to even pay off the home.
Mm.
Woefully, woefully underinsured. You know where he got his plan from? The ex A.L. Williams company.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Nothing against A.L. Williams. Buy term, invest the difference.
Mm-hmm.
I won't mention the name of the company, but it's an annual renewable term, so it increases every year.
Oh, no.
Yeah, annual renewable term. I said, you realize you're renting the insurance for the term. You're renting it. Stop renting, be a homeowner. Listen, we're out of time this segment. Folks, give us a call at 1-800-440-0434. Go to mymoneyissafe.com. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Greg Ellie of the Prosperity Group. Right now, we are facing an election. Many people are just sitting there in limbo, waiting for the election to make financial decisions. This could be very costly. I believe we are sitting on the biggest financial bubble in history that could be risky to your retirement. So, folks, if you want some strategies that can save your accounts, learn how you can add 20% into your money immediately. 1-800-440-0434. Go to mymoneyissafe.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. Call 800-823-5544. That's 800-823-5544. 800-823-5544.
We have security. We have security.
Welcome back, guys. This is Patty James. Greg stepped out for just a moment, but that song was Security by Leo Patillo. I really do, as I'm sure you do, enjoy the music that Greg and Marie sang. And Greg still does sing, and he has a beautiful voice, so we enjoy listening to him. But the reason you tune in is to listen to his advice and his knowledge on your retirement planning, his safe money strategies, which he does have some really great strategies. And what he wants everyone to focus on right now is taking advantage of the strategies of a guaranteed income stream. He calls that your pension-like income. It's where you're able to take money out of your 401k, other retirement plans, and even out of other annuities that you have that have not performed like you had thought they would, etc. And you're able to take advantage of some of these income strategies and these guarantees that we have. Right now, the one that we like so much guarantees you a 6% bonus on your money when you put it in, as well as a 6% guaranteed increase in your money compounded for the next 10 years or until you turn your income on. So Greg joins us again. We were just going over some of the income strategies that you like and the advantages of them right now with that 6%. And we'll let you take over, Mr. Greg.
Well, Patty, thank you for telling people that. And I want to kind of segue on something that we talked about yesterday at one of our meetings in the company, that there is a blackout period with income when a spouse dies.
With Social Security
With
income.
Social Security income.
Right. For those that depend on Social Security for their income, yes.
And so one of the key things that I'm always very proud about is that the income plans that we have are good for both lives.
That is such a good point to
And
make.
how many times have we run into accounts where people didn't take that into consideration? In fact, would you do me a favor? Would you speak to a minute? Because I know you're going to be doing some empowering women retirement seminars and things. I would like you to talk directly to the ladies right now. You can relate to that
It's so
and speak on
absolutely,
that,
it's so,
please.
it is so important, ladies, that you do, as much as you don't want to be involved, because you, especially being from the South and of our age, you were brought up that the man takes care of that. And that feels comfortable. You do X, he does Y. Well, that's wonderful until it doesn't work. And when it doesn't
Right.
work, is if it catches you off surprise. I mean, he's supposed to live to age X. Well, what if he doesn't? What if the unforeseen happens? The whole definition of an emergency is unplanned need. Well, take away that emergency, take away that unplanned need, and be more involved in what is going on. Because what you don't want to happen is what happens to so many advisors and clients, because I really believe if you go in to get your car fixed, you're not going to go to the mechanic and he advised you to do X. You go, oh, I'm sorry, I think you need to do so and so, because we know nothing about it. The same thing with retirement planning. You go to an advisor and you tell them that I've made this X amount of money. I'm going to be retiring. Yes, I am married. And he tells your husband that, well, we can go ahead because you will get more income if we make it a single income. And then when you pass, the money will still be there for her. Well, it depends on how long he thinks that guy's going to live and just how well that underlying investment really does, etc.
And how much money's left.
Good morning.
Exactly.
How are
And
you?
because chances are there might be some left, there might be none left, but there's not going to be as much as there was. So then when you get ready to start your retirement, he passes, you might be basing it on a much smaller number, if a number at all. And we have had clients come into our offices that has happened.
No, so true. It's so true. Do you know why I came up with the term pension-like income? Because it's pension-like in the sense that it's guaranteed. But what's different about our pension-like income, it's guaranteed for 2 lives, and whatever's left over goes to the children or to the beneficiaries. Most pensions, traditional pensions, end in either 1 life, both lives, or both lives get a reduced amount, right?
Much reduced.
And there's nothing left for the kids.
Right. It definitely stops after the
And
adult.
that's why we tell folks all the time, if you have the option to take your pension in lump sums, most of the time it's to your advantage to do
Ken?
so. Talk to us about it, obviously, before they make that decision.
Ken?
Hey there, Doc. How you doing, Doc?
Are you back from smoking?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, good. How you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself? All the lights on, everything working fine?
Yeah, everything looks good. So we got power. We've got everything we need. How about you? How's your roof doing? Did you get a roofer up there yet?
I got somebody coming in and tarp it on Tuesday, so they put me on a list to come out and fix it. I guess it's all priority.
Yeah, the roof of my office building is the same material as the Tropicana field.
Ouch.
And part of it delaminated. I didn't realize how strong the winds were. All of the air conditioners had shifted a little bit off of their pads, and they weigh 300 pounds, Ken.
Well, we had winds about 110 miles an hour at times.
Well, when I went to bed at 9 or 10, and it was like 30, 40 miles an hour, I said, well, this is no big deal. And when I woke up, there was really no wind blowing, just a little breeze. And I didn't realize how strong it was because our building's so solid, you couldn't hear anything anyway.
Well, that's comforting. At least you could sleep. We could hear a lot in our house. The house we were at was even making a lot of noise, and this was built like 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, and I had one door that was whistling, and so that because the weather seal is deteriorating, so I took an extension cord, electrical extension cord, tied it around the knob, and took it back over to the refrigerator handle.
Okay, that'll do it.
And it worked perfect.
No, so that's that I lost a tree, a 30-foot palm tree, and had the roof problems. But other than that, we got it through okay.
Good. Well, you do have Simpson strong ties. I can see that from the picture.
Once when I noticed that too when I was crawling in to see just how bad this was. But yeah, so that's comforting. That helped keep the roof on, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think the thing that they're going to have to do with the ridge vent is make sure that it's somehow secured with strong ties. But I don't think we use those anymore down here, Ken, because of that, because the wind can get under there and rip them right off.
No, it's we had three people in our neighborhood lose them though, so it's a problem. I can see why they don't do that anymore, but I don't think I have any choice but to replace it. So
Oh, I don't know. I think there's probably some choices for you. You just have to ventilate it. You can probably ventilate through the eaves, but you can talk with your roofer and ask him if there's any way to have good ventilation without putting another cap on there.
yeah, you need that top cap though to get the heat out. You really do, no matter how much side ventilation you have.
Well, I told you what I did when I built the house over inside the country club. I enclosed the whole attic, and I put an air conditioning unit up there to keep it from getting moldy.
That was smart. Yeah.
Worked perfect.
Well, Doc, we got about 7 or 8 minutes left. What are you going to be talking about? What are your subjects today beside the storm?
Well, you know how I've been saying for decades that this recycling is largely a bunch of baloney. So
Right.
I just saw I got an article here. Just 13.6% of waste plastic containers and packaging is actually recycled. The rest of it goes to landfills or it's burnt.
Well, ever since China stopped buying that stuff, nobody knows what to do with it now.
It's just these are just silly make work programs. Keep the women and the children and the weenies busy, and oh, the environment and protect our earth and all that. It's just a bunch of baloney. Have
All
you
we need
have
are
you
more
been
garbage
out to
cans.
have you been to a dump? Have you been to a city or county disposal site, garbage disposal plant?
I have not had the pleasure, no.
I've been out several times to different ones over the years. I mean, it's just a big, it's just a big incinerator. they, um, they don't even, they're not even good at getting the aluminum cans out. They don't even recycle most of the aluminum. The steel's different because you can put a magnet on it and it'll pull it out. And there are these long lines of garbage coming down, and there's garbage pickers that look through it and they get stuff and they go sell it, and then the rest of it just goes right into the incinerator. It's
Well, you know what? That's probably the cheapest way, just incinerate it.
yeah, and then they use the incinerator heat to make some electricity or boil their tea water or whatever. But
Now, up north in Chicago, for all those years, they had the big mounds of garbage everywhere that became snow hills in the winter. That was fun.
yeah, yeah, and people have been heaping garbage into piles for millennia. And actually, it's good because then it gives the anthropologist something to do. They can go dig around and see what
Is New
everybody was
York still
eating
pouring
2,000
theirs into
years
the
ago.
Atlantic and they like take it out to the dump it in the ocean, I think?
Well, that's what New York used to do. They'd take those scows out there and dump it. Now I don't think they do that anymore because they had needles washing up on shore, and the little children were stepping on it and getting bad diseases.
That could be a problem, yeah. I don't see you on your screen, Doc. Is your camera on?
Hang on. How about
There you are. Now I see you just fine.
there you go. So at any rate, talking about that, new findings on breast cancer screening, the cost of inactivity as we get older, and the loss of muscle mass. Um, Waiting for the Israelis to go ahead and take Iran off the map. They're not happy, you know that, because
No,
they aimed
they are
drones at
now.
Netanyahu's house. You could do a lot of things, but don't pick on the leader.
Well, you make it personal. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, now it's personal. Now the Israelis are going to, and even the opposition parties in the Knesset, they're like, go get them, go get them.
Yeah, the
So
Ayatollah must be hiding somewhere right now.
he probably in a shelter that the Israelis made.
Safest place.
They probably know exactly where he is, and you got to love it. I mean, they I told you that back in one of the wars that they had one of their agents was one of the top military leaders in Syria. Did I tell you about that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And he actually said, because they had the Syrians had put bunkers up on the Golan Heights, and he said, well, our boys are hot up there. Let's put some trees around it and give them some shade. And then the Israelis knew exactly where to shoot. They just aimed for the trees and took them out.
Sometimes they make it easy, Doc.
Hey, you can't, you can fix ignorance, but you can't fix stupid.
All right, I'm going to run to the potty. We got about 3 minutes here. I'll be back in time.
All right, bud.
Prosperity Group. Come grow with us and reach your retirement goals. Make your health insurance coverage great again with Health Plan Network. Call 813-212-2580 or go to healthplannetwork.net.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. Donald Trump on the stump in Pennsylvania last night.
Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? No. After living through this nightmare of inflation, invasion, and humiliation, you know what the invasion is, right? Invasion by the southern border, what they've done to our country.
Americans go to the polls 2 weeks from Tuesday. The latest surveys call the election a dead heat. The White House hopes the killing of the top Hamas leader might lead to a ceasefire in the Middle East. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
After word of Yahya Sinwar's death in Gaza, President Biden called Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and congratulated him on the elimination of the terrorist leader. In a statement, the president called it a good day for Israel, the United States, and the world because Sinwar was responsible for the deaths of thousands of people. The White House hopes this moment in the conflict can help bring the hostages home and the war to a close. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Striking workers at Boeing will vote this week on a new offer that could end a walkout that has lasted more than a month. Boeing and the union representing striking machinists said yesterday they've negotiated a new proposal that would raise pay 35% over 4 years and includes upfront bonuses of $7,000 per worker. The International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers says it plans to hold that ratification vote on Wednesday. Hundreds of frozen waffle products sold in leading retailers, including Walmart and Target, are being recalled. The manufacturer says they could be contaminated with listeria. Treehouse Foods says the products have been listed and consumers should throw them out if they happen to have them or return them to the store for credit. Listeria can make you very sick. This is SRN News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
At Simple Path Retirement, we don't answer to corporate management or shareholders. We answer to you. Start living your best life today. Visit simplepathretirement.com.
Just when you thought your smartphone couldn't get any smarter, now you can add the AM 860 app with local news, national headlines, and commentary. The answer is smart. Adding the AM 860 app to your smartphone is genius. Get it now at the Apple App Store and Google Play.
For today, nice with sunshine and then a few clouds in the area with a high of 83. Tonight, clear skies, low 68. Tomorrow, partly sunny and pleasant, high 86. Tomorrow night, clear skies, low 70. On Tuesday, partly sunny skies and pleasant conditions with a high of 86. Get your weather news when and how you want it wherever you are. Download our free app or visit AccuWeather.com. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Caitlin Lawrence for AM 860, The Answer.
The following program is sponsored by Bay Area Medical Can Care Clinic.
And go, Doc.
Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Bill. I got Ken with me, and we're doing a show today. And boy, have we got a lot of news. How about that hurricane? Did you survive there, Ken, or what?
Yes, sort of.
Yeah,
I got banged up a little bit.
If you're watching us on live streaming, I've got a photo of Ken's roof.
Oh, I didn't see you put that up. What's left of it? Right. Yeah.
So they used to put like these caps on the hip on the ridge on the top of the roofs, so you could ventilate your attic. You know, the hot air would go up, and we don't do that anymore in Florida. But Ken's
And this
house,
is why, I imagine.
yeah, because they just rip right off in a storm. 100-mile-an-hour wind just takes that right off. So actually, Ken had free water for a few days. And he could shower and everything, and not have to pay utility bill.
Actually, no, Doc. It's almost a miracle. I swear to you, we had no water damage. This must have happened at the very end of the storm.
Unbelievable.
There is no ceiling water damage whatsoever. And this is if you're not watching, this is about a 7-foot long, 2-foot wide hole in my roof right now. Thankfully, it's been tarped. But yeah, and we found out going up there that, and Doc noticed it on the picture that I'm hurricane ready. Apparently, I didn't think I was, but apparently I am. Somewhere along the way, they did that to the house.
You know, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, the Simpson strong ties, and so here's a picture. If you're watching, basically they're just thin pieces of galvanized steel, and they come in different configurations, so you can tie different parts of your roof together with your side walls, and you can take it all the way down to your foundation, actually. But they just nail in, and they're very effective in keeping your roof from blowing away.
Worked. It
works. But
I talked to some people in the neighborhood, and they said it's the worst they've ever seen. And some of these folks have been there since the 50s. So,
yeah, I think this was one of the 100-year events that we hear about. That's Hurricane Milton. If you're just joining us, we're talking about Hurricane Milton. And then, you know, the Tropicana Field lost its roof.
Mm-hmm.
That membrane blew off. And I have the same membrane on the roof at my office, by the way. Only it's adherent to the substructure, to the actual roof. And I don't think that was, I think that was on some kind of a plywood or some kind of a base that kept it from deforming. But boy, it took it right off, didn't it?
Yeah, if you need a patch.
Yeah, I don't.
There, right around the stadium, probably.
For those of you who are listening out of this area here, the Tropicana Field is where the Tampa Bay Rays play baseball. It's a professional stadium, and they're they're going to tear it down and rebuild it anyway. I don't know. You think they'll put a new roof on it?
I don't think they're going to play somewhere else. They'll find somebody else.
They'll play
for about 2
somewhere
years.
and just tear that down and for a year or two rebuild it. That whole area is being rehabbed. It's getting quite expensive too. They're putting up all kinds of apartment buildings and condos and high-end structures. So it's fascinating. And plus, we had a big old crane come down that was building one of the new buildings down there. I don't know if you saw that downtown.
Yeah, that was kind of scary.
Yeah, that's why you don't go out in a storm.
That's why you take your cranes down.
Well, you can't. I mean, they're integral. What they do is they build them in the center of the structure, and they add layers to it as the floors are added, so that they can pour concrete and get material up there. So then, when they're done at the top, the crane structure is actually an integral part of the building, and then they just take off the top of it. The top.
I didn't know that. Well,
yeah. So that's the ones that are inside, because you've seen that. You've seen buildings that have a big crane right in the middle. Yeah, they just build right up around it.
All right. Okay. Well, that one didn't make it.
It did not make it.
The rest did. That was not the only crane up. So,
No, there were other cranes, but I don't think that one was inside of the building. I think that was on the side. But we drove down there and took a look at it. It was fascinating. That whole thing came right down. I mean, it was a pretty big piece of steel coming down.
Well, luckily, the streets were completely empty.
So before we go too far, Ken, I got to tell you, I don't want to say I was right all along, but I was right. I have said for years and years that this recycling is largely a bunch of garbage, which of course it is, but it's also the idea that we're actually doing something to help the planet. So a study from 2018, 2019 by the federal government says that just 13.6% of plastic waste and packaging is recycled. The rest of it goes to landfills.
Okay.
And
all right.
17% gets incinerated. It gets burnt because it's carbon and oxygen and heat, and you got something nice and toasty going there. But 70% went to landfills. My sisters, they're like, "Don't you want to save the planet?" I said, "I don't think the planet much cares about me."
Hey, for the last 2 weeks, the planet's been trying to kill me. So
yeah, the planet's going to be here whether I'm here or not.
This is
what
war.
And so, you know what gets recycled the most? The most,
I would say, aluminum cans.
No, that's not even close.
What's the glass? I don't know.
Paper and cardboard.
Paper and cardboard. That makes
Paper
sense.
and cardboard. And the rate for glass containers is 31%, and for aluminum cans and foils, it's about 35%.
Not good.
That's it. And of course,
After all the work.
steel and iron are different because you can put a magnet over it. And Ken and I were talking about this before the show. You guys have never been to a city or county garbage collection center? You should go and you should look. I mean, it doesn't smell very good, but I've been to several and have actually dropped loads off there. But you go back and you see the actual plant production. It's a big belt with all this garbage that's going through, and there are garbage vultures, garbage pickers that come in there and they look for things of value and they pull them out and keep them. Rest of it, by and large, goes right into the incinerator, and they use that heat to produce electricity, run a little.
So it is being recycled a little bit. I mean, turning it from.
Yeah, but I mean, Ken, it's just ridiculous, the things that these left-wing loonies think up and think they're very important to their life and to our lives, and they're really of little importance.
Yeah, well, they don't understand the overall, I think, that the planet is in charge. No matter what we do to it, it will recover on its own accord.
I loved what Governor DeSantis said when they started talking about climate change and causing the hurricanes. He said, "That's nonsense. We've had hurricanes in Florida for 10 million years, probably."
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And this still wasn't even one of the strongest.
It's strong enough for me.
It's strong enough. Well, in your house,
Yeah, that's right. I don't think I could take another one.
it's stronger than your house. But you
We
know,
got the
you
four-
got to remember
this
now.
one never got the 5, right? This was 4. What was it when it came ashore, though?
Yeah, absolutely. And 1,000 years ago, how many people lived in Florida? Few thousand. You know,
Maybe
so
a couple of hundred. Who knows? Yeah.
who knows? You know, and so now we have the third largest state. We're what, 22, 23 million, probably pushing 25 million, including illegal aliens. And only California and Texas are bigger than us, and we're growing faster than, well, California is shrinking, and we're growing faster than any other state, except maybe Texas.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
we're getting a lot of influx as well right now. So
yeah, so I mean, so there's a lot of anxiety and a lot of hysteria because you got a lot more people. What
gotta
do
get
you
some more roads, gotta get some more lanes on the express.
Yeah, and you're letting people build on barrier islands and on the coast.
Yeah.
Well, what do they think's going to happen? I mean, if you want waterfront property, then you're going to have to put up with waterfront living, which is not easy. It's tough, even if there's no storms. Just the salt air and the salt water. I mean, it's corrosive, and it does damage to homes as well as to cars. And I don't know if you've noticed down here, Ken, but batteries don't last as long in cars.
Oh, I noticed already. I've had to replace. I've been here 6 years. I had to replace 2 of them already.
Yeah, because there's the air's so salty that it makes micro connections between the anode and the cathode and shorts them out over time.
Yeah, I didn't have that problem up north.
Up north, all they do is wallow in the snow. They put up these big garbage heaps and then put snow on top of them and call
No,
them.
they put like toboggan runs on top, and then you bring your toboggan or sled over and just all winter long just go down.
And you hope you don't fall on a piece of broken glass.
Well, nobody cared back then.
Yeah, I mean, you
The
know,
60s, you know, you'll
take them
heal.
to the ER, they'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll heal.
So I got some medical news now. I think it's important that we talk about this. The American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, you know, that's the women's doctors. Although they tried to come after me one time, but I ran. Any rate, they have recommended now new revised guidelines for breast cancer screening, and breast cancer is probably the number 2 killer of women in the cancer categories. I'm guessing that that lung cancer is still number 1, and colon cancer is right up there, close behind them. Wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. right up behind.
Watch your phraseology today. Watch your phraseology today.
My metaphors may not be completely appropriate. Any rate, so now they've dropped the age to age 40 to start screening because they say there's an increase of breast cancer among younger women and also trans women because they take hormones. And you probably didn't know this, but men can get breast cancer. About 1 in 100 breast cancer cases are men.
Really?
Yep. And we actually lost one of our vascular surgeons last year. He was diagnosed with breast cancer, I believe, when he was in medical school or in residency. And they were able to control it for 10, 15 years, but finally there was nothing they could do. And he died. He was in his mid-40s, just a young guy.
So sad.
Yeah, and you know, you think breast cancer is just women? It's not. And I've had male patients that we've palpated, felt lumps and bumps in their breasts, and we send them over for a mammogram. A lot of women don't want to get a mammogram because they hurt. You know, especially if you're sensitive, if you have fibromyalgia or other problems with your breasts that make them more sensitive. But really, this is one of the great screening tools that we have been able to introduce to the public in the past 50, 60 years. And the amount of energy radiation that's used has gone way down. And we also have ultrasound, and we also have MRI. And MRI doesn't give you any radiation because it's your own body emitting radiation, not absorbing it. So we have a lot of modalities now, and I really encourage the women to do this. And the young women, 40 is the new age. So heed Dr. Bill.
Especially if it's in your family.
Yeah, well, and if you have the genes for it, the BRCA genes, the breast cancer genes, now they're not very common. They're only about 20% of the breast cancer victims that have the gene, and it's more common though in the Ashkenazi Jewish population, the Eastern European Jewish population, and along with that goes an increased risk for ovarian cancer, for pancreatic cancer. And we're seeing that it has an effect even on males because of the pancreas. And there's probably other cancers that are at higher incidence in people who are positive for this genetic disorder. So the moral of the story is come on, guys, put in breeding. The Jewish side of the family doesn't want to go outside to get a mate, but you got to have some outside, genetic pools coming in, or you may be extremely intelligent, but you're going to also have all kinds of health problems.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
so at any rate, but
I
times
know
are
my
changing.
mom died when she had breast cancer. She died of a stroke before she died of the cancer, but she had stage 4 cancer when
Yeah.
she died. And I know my daughters have always been very concerned about it. I'll let them know. I didn't know that the age went down to 40 now. They're in their
Yeah,
30s.
it's down to 40. And you have an increased risk for strokes and heart attacks with a lot of these cancers because there's inflammatory processes that go on, and you inflame the inside of the blood vessels, and they're more likely to form a clot and clot off, and then you have a stroke or a heart attack. And of course, one of the main problems, and I'm not saying this just because you're a no good, low down, dirty, rotten smoker, but smoking is one of the big risk factors for a number of
Everything.
cancers, including breast.
No kidding. Well, why not?
So you better go get your breast exam done this week. Make an appointment. Come on down.
What do you got open, Doc? I'll be there. Yeah.
All right. Hey, we're not very busy this past week. I don't think we're going to be very busy
Are
next
Canadians
week.
back in town yet? Where are they?
Well, I think they're probably hunkering down up in Canada, waiting to see if the hurricane season's over. They're like, "Are you guys still there?" Yeah, we're still here. So this storm is really something. So I came to the office after the storm, and the new owner guy, he was up on the roof. So I went up to see what he was doing and help him out. And almost all of the air, we have about, I don't know, 8 or 9 air conditioners up on the roof for the various parts of the building, and almost every one of them had shifted partially off of their pads.
Wow.
And so he and I were pushing them back on, and all the cowlings blew off. And of course, there were leaks everywhere. And the pharmacy, they had to tear out uh, carpeting and everything else. And we had one small leak on our side. Because what happens is once you take that cowling away, then you've got like an open area where water can come in around the big ducts that go down into the building. And so we pushed them all back on and taped down what we could. And the roof membrane, which I had put on a few years ago, new roof, was the same material as the Tropicana field, which is behind me, as you can see, if you're looking on Facebook.
So how did yours come through?
We had one area delaminate. We had several ridge tiles, like your ridge, your hip on your house, that blew off, and the wind got underneath it, and it pulled the membrane back. And so he and I pushed the membrane back into place, and then fortunately, the roofer that I use is also my patient, Ken.
That's nice.
So guess who got taken care of first?
I'll bet the old doctor did. Yes. Right.
It never hurts to be nice to people.
Hey, it's who you know in this life.
It's who you know. So at any rate, they were up there earlier this week, and they got it back down and replaced the ridge caps, and they also put this elastic looking stuff all over the air conditioners where they met the cowlings and the ductwork going in. And it was really, it was really a good job that they did. 2 guys did it in one day. Guess how much?
Guess how much? $1,500.
$6,500.
Whoa. See, I don't know anything about roofing. Obviously. Wow.
At any rate, apparently roofs are important, as So Tropicana Field found out.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know where they're going to play. They were talking about a lot of possibilities. The a lot of ballparks around here for minor leaguers. So,
Well, we have the one up in Dunedin where one of the pro teams comes down for their spring training.
Blue Jays, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's the Blue Jays. And that's a nice field. And of course, you can't hold the number of people that Tropicana Field held, and it's outdoors. But come on, Tropicana Field is hardly ever. I mean, if there's
Unless you're in the
25% full at a regular season game, it's shocking. I mean, nobody goes.
And they played there during the COVID thing, I think, Blue Jays as well. So,
yeah,
obviously,
so
it'll work.
We have
Up
venues.
there.
Yeah, we've got venues. We've got places, and I'm sure they could rig up Raymond James Stadium as a baseball field if they needed to. But
Sure.
I don't think the Bucks would like that.
Well, and the Bucks aren't playing a lot. Well, yeah, the two seasons do overlap in a couple of ways. Both at the end of baseball and the beginning of football. So
I don't think we're in the playoffs though. So this season is pretty much over.
Yeah, yes, it is.
All right, so back to medical news.
Yeah.
So one of the big problems that I keep talking about is as we get older, if you want to live longer, keep your weight down and stay active, and of course, quit smoking, which falls on deaf ears here and there.
Well, I'm listening.
But you're
seem
not
to do
eating.
I just can't seem to do it. That's all. As I told you on the phone, we had a telemedicine earlier this week, and as I told you on the phone, when I started smoking, when I was 16 in 1977 or whatever that was, I assumed that medical science let me down because I assumed there'd be a pill by now. Where you just take it and you just say, "Okay, I don't want to smoke anymore. Here, have this pill." And maybe I watched too much Star Trek when I was a kid.
Well, it's our fault, and
It's medical science. It's not my fault.
We shoulder the blame.
I'm a victim.
You are a victim, and I
There's
think
got to be a grant for me somewhere.
There's got to be some kind of free handout.
There's got to be some money out there for that.
So at any rate, there's a look back study. They actually looked at a few dozen different studies that were done, and they have determined that sarcopenia, sarco meaning flesh and penia meaning poverty, it actually refers to muscle. Sarcomeres are muscle cells. So this means poverty of muscles. What happens is as we get older and we get less active and we're not exercising, we lose muscle mass. We're going to lose some anyway as we get older. Hormonal levels drop, activity levels drop, and then you have the natural process of what's called apoptosis, where the cells are programmed to die after so many years. At any rate, so what they found out was that with weight loss and lack of activity, you actually lose muscle mass. So you can preserve it even with just once or twice a week going and doing some exercise. Go to the gym or ride your exercise bike, or like I did yesterday, I moved about, I'm going to guess, ton and a half of old files out of one of the storage bins and threw it in the dumpster. My back is killing me today, but that's okay. It's exercise. It's good for you, and it keeps your muscle mass up. And of course, you have to eat decently, but not much. You don't want to get overweight. So you just want to eat enough to meet your caloric requirements, and you need to stay active and walk or jog or swim or ride your exercise bike or whatever it is you like to do. Go do it.
Clean up from a hurricane, I found that very, very.
Yeah, that's another way. Absolutely. Go up on the roof with your new building owner, your new landlord, and start pushing air conditioners around. And
yeah, that sounds like it would. That would be some exercise. Yeah. So.
I mean, just going up and down the ladder, I'm short of breath. I've lost strength, of course, but what's hardest for me is that I'm losing my breath because of a touch of asthma and the natural aging process of the heart and lungs. And I haven't smoked since I was, 19 or 20. Well, I'd smoked, but not necessarily tobacco for a couple of years after that.
Okay.
But then I saw the light.
Yeah. All right. Good.
And now I'm seeing advertisements for THC gummy bears,
Yeah, I
so you
know.
don't have a hangover in the morning. Use this instead of alcohol.
You think that referendum will pass?
I hope not. And if you look at all these cops that are coming on and saying to go ahead and vote for it, look at them all. They're all obese. They all have beards. They all look like a bunch of bums.
Old hippies, huh? Okay.
And,
I think politicians are hoping it passes.
oh yeah, of course. And you know who's behind this are the lawyers. They want to make money off of this. A lot of them have invested in these marijuana farms and manufacturing plants. You know, Morgan and Morgan, they were one of the big groups in this area that started pushing for legalization of marijuana decades ago. And the guy that led the whole movement back in the 70s and 80s, he was an attorney.
Well, the taxes that's to be taken, especially in a state like Florida where people are just coming in for the week or so and will try, hey, let's try this for a while, will be tremendous. Even Illinois, when they legalized there, the taxes are now up to $1 billion a year or something like that.
Well, I'm sure that's a lot of money to you and me, but $1 billion in the budget of a state like Illinois or Florida, that ain't nothing. That's just,
they can spend that in an afternoon.
oh yeah, that's less than 1% of the annual budget of the states. Individual. I'm not talking about the country. I'm just talking about the states.
Right, states, yeah. But everybody's getting.
One of my friends keeps railing at the lunch table about how we need to bury power lines and do this and that, and why don't we have federal money, and why are they giving $1 billion here and there to the Ukrainians? I said, do you know what percentage of our annual budget $1 billion is? He said, no. I said, it's 0.00. 1%. It's 1/100th of 1% or less of our annual federal budget. So, I mean, it's like pulling a penny out of your pocket and breaking it into 4 pieces and giving 1/4 of the penny to the bum on the street and say, here, this is for you because we love you and we care. Excuse me. So at any rate, hang on a second, Ken.
I'm here. What do you need? Oh, okay. You all right? You need me to do the Heimlich? Maybe to reach through
I need the
Heimlich for you?
Can you reach through?
Zoom me
I'm
out.
in over the airwaves. So speaking of airwaves, this is pretty cool. University of Alberta or Toronto or one of the universities up in Canada, they had, or maybe it was the military. So they had a competition for anti-drone technology because drones are becoming very prevalent in battle now. And as we saw Netanyahu, they tried to bomb his house with a drone. They're not happy. The Israelis are really upset.
Yeah, they really made it personal now. So
yeah, now it's personal.
Yeah.
And I think that last week they said they weren't going to hit the nuclear plants or the oil fields. I think everything's off the table now.
Yeah.
Or rather on the table. So we'll see what happens. But so you had Boeing and different big manufacturers and defense companies coming in there, Teledyne and all these. And, they had lasers and they had this and that. And then 3 college kids at the University of Toronto made a sound wave device that within 100 yards is pretty good at knocking these down. And they came out of it with a couple $100,000 in prize money.
It uses just sound waves?
Just sound waves. And what they did is they got their brains together, and the girl who actually formulated it, she's the lead. She got a couple other guys, and one of the guys got a whole bunch of speakers out of cars. The little tweeters, the small speakers.
Yeah, is it a high tone or a low tone or
high tone? It's a high tone.
High tone. Okay.
And so they did that, and they were able to knock drones down within 100, 150 yards.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And so I actually wrote them back. I rarely respond, even though I want to respond to everything, but I did respond to that. And the higher the frequency, the shorter the time period between each wave. So
Right, exactly.
the lower frequency, there's longer time periods. You know, the waves are bigger.
They're spread
And
apart. Yes.
of course, we're talking about things that are already microscopic, but the high frequency sound waves don't travel that far. The lower frequencies will go further, but the problem with both is that you have a medium air, which has some of the energy from the sound waves converted into kinetic energy. So you can actually heat up air or tissue or anything else with sound waves. And one of the things that we have to be aware of when we're doing ultrasounds on people is that you can heat the tissues up. So especially with the little kids and babies. So we have to use as little as possible in order to get the images that we want. So at any rate, I wrote them back and I said, because you know I'm big on plasma. I'm always talking about plasma. Plasma is the fourth state of matter. When I was a kid, we only had three. We didn't know about plasma. There was gas, solids, and liquids. But plasma is where the neutrons and the protons and the electrons in an atom dissociate at a real high heat or under certain conditions. And a lot of these so-called foreign objects, unidentified foreign objects, are actually plasma balls from electrical storms, from thunderstorms.
Not UFOs.
Yeah, and so what I wrote back and said is, if you could marry the two together, because plasma, the sound waves will go through plasma nicely, you could actually create quite a weapon with that. So we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll write me back.
Maybe you'll be doing research.
Yeah, maybe I can go and do research with them.
Go up there and do some research. You know what we got research right now?
What do we got?
We got to research how to get a cup of coffee, I think.
Oh, let's do it.
All right. There's my music. Okay. So we're going to be back in just a little bit. Question today. Let's see. Which establishment that Doc often can be found at took some damage from the hurricane? Was it his home or his office? The first person with the correct answer will get 2 Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mugs. The number to call, special number, 813-282-8283. 813-282-8283 is the number to call. First person with the correct answer. Which took some damage, the office or the Doc's house? First one with the right answer wins. Right, Doc?
You got it, buddy boy, and we'll be right back. I'm Dr. Bill with Ken by my side.
Experience the best selection of cigars and accessories in the country. Corona Cigar is located at 4142 West Boy Scout Boulevard across from International Plaza, or visit coronacigar.com.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. Striking workers at Boeing will vote this week on a new offer that could end a walkout that has lasted more than a month. Boeing and the union representing striking machinists said Saturday they had cut a new proposal that would raise pay 35% over 4 years and include upfront bonuses of $7,000 per workers. The vote will take place on Wednesday. Hundreds of frozen waffle products sold in leading retailers, including Walmart and Target, are being recalled. The manufacturer says they may be contaminated with listeria. Treehouse Foods announcing the recall and publishing a list of the products on the web. Says consumers should throw them out or return them to the store for credit. Listeria can cause mild illness, but more serious problems, including in pregnant women and the elderly. This is SRN News.
Dr. Bill for Bay Area Medical, located at 6399 38th Avenue North in St. Pete, 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. Full-service clinic with x-ray, heart imaging, ultrasound, stress testing, and minor surgery. We provide quality health care in a warm and friendly atmosphere. We are multilingual, well-trained, and certified. Most American insurance and new patients accepted. Bay Area Medical, home of Can Care, 727-384-6411. 727-384-6411.
Dr. Bill here. With social distancing and sheltering in place, telemedicine is here. Bay Area Medical Home of Care Clinic offers telemedicine for new and established patients. You can see me without an in-office visit. Schedule an appointment at 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. When it's time for your appointment, type this web address into your cell phone or computer web browser, doxy.me/Bay Area Med. A cell phone works well and is all you really need. For computers, you need a web camera and speakers. We'll give you this address when you call for your appointment. We accept most insurances and travel insurances. Canadians and visitors, please call your travel insurance company for an authorization number prior to the visit. Copays and deductibles apply. Self-pay rates are available. Just ask. We accept credit cards, PayPal, and Stripe. 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. Dr. Bill here. My friends at St. Pete MRI and Sleep Diagnostics are your best choice for state-of-the-art MRI, CT, and sleep studies. Quality unsurpassed. 25 years experience makes St. Pete MRI my go-to imaging center. Self-pay rates are competitive and out-of-pocket cost a fraction of a hospital. Conveniently accessible from both sides of the bay at 750 94th Avenue North, St. Pete, near the Gandy. 727-577-2220, 727-577-2220.
As an independent registered investment advisor, Simple Path has the freedom to offer unbiased advice without the potential conflicts of large broker dealers. Visit simplepathretirement.com.
For today, nice with sunshine and then a few clouds in the area with a high of 83. Tonight, clear skies, low 68. Tomorrow, partly sunny and pleasant, high 86. Tomorrow night, clear skies, low 70. On Tuesday, partly sunny skies and pleasant conditions with a high of 86. Get your weather news when and how you want it wherever you are. Download our free app or visit AccuWeather.com. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Caitlin Lawrence for AM 860, The Answer.
Go, Doc.
And we're back. This is Dr. Bill. Got Ken with me, and we're doing one heck of a show, I think.
We have a winner, by the way.
Oh, we got a winner already.
Yes, we have a winner already. So, and the winner today picking up two Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mugs, is Doug Lichterman. Doug Lichterman of St. Pete. And he was the first caller, had the right answer. The right answer was, the question was, which establishment took some damage during Milton Doc's house or his office? And the correct answer is Doc.
Office.
The office.
The office got hit.
That's right. Thank you to Doug, who had some very nice words to say about the show. So we appreciate that.
Thanks, Doug. We appreciate you, buddy. And we appreciate everybody who's out there listening and joining us. This is not a commercial show per se. I don't make anything off of this, but it's a good way to keep the practice out in the public eye, and also an opportunity to be with you guys on Sunday for an hour.
We should call this the venting hour.
Yeah.
You get a chance to come out here and just vent,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, but we do it with research, Ken.
That's right.
We don't just come out and say, well, I'm opposed to recycling because I know it doesn't work. You got to go do the research.
Exactly.
And then you can come in and say, look, here's the research. This is something that most people don't do. They don't really look at or research what they're opining about. But
that takes time.
Takes time. It takes time. It takes energy. And a lot of people are busy. They're trying to make a living and raise a family. And they try to get what they can from the news. Unfortunately, the news is very slanted, as you know.
The news media has just been voted the least respected entity in the country, below Congress. I mean, you know how bad you have to be below Congress as far as respect is concerned?
You got to be
really bad, man.
Did you know that President Washington went to the House once? He went to the House of Representatives once, and he said, I'm never going back. This is just a rabble. It's just a bunch of petty arguing little people.
And he wasn't going to sit there for that. No,
he ain't going to take that.
A busy guy.
And speaking of presidents, there's more news out on Trump. The prosecutor, what's his name, Smith, that went after Trump and said that he committed election fraud, and the Supreme Court threw it out, which I said they would, because what he did was within his privileges as the head of the branch of government that he was the head of. The president's the head of the executive branch, and the legislature has limited power to come in and tell him what to do. But what the legislature has is they have the purse. So the fight's always been between the executive and the legislative branches is, I want to do this, but Congress doesn't. So where am I going to get the money? At any rate, so the Supreme Court said, listen, he can say what he wants to his department heads and to his vice president. And their contention was that, well, you know, the governor of Georgia is not a member of his department. Well, he has freedom of speech too. You know, the president can say what he wants. You may not like it, but he can. And he can talk to whoever he wants to talk to. Now, he may have gotten a lot of people upset, as Trump has that ability to do.
No.
But you know, I don't care. I mean, it's principles before personalities with me. As you know, it's that old Alcoholics Anonymous rule. You put the principles first. The characters involved are secondary. And so, if Trump is doing what I like, then I'm going to vote for him. I don't care what he says. And of course, they twist it around too. The other aspect of this is down in Arizona, one of the jurisdictions, I think Maricopa County, has basically had to set up a secured area for the guys that do the ballot counts because there's so many threats against them now. And so they have police snipers and cameras and big gates and everything. Everything's locked up. And the Wall Street Journal reporter who's writing on this said that this is fueled in part by Trump's false claim that the 2020 election was rigged. You know, there's nobody out there that has shown me any solid evidence to the contrary that it was rigged. I mean, I tell you what, Ken, I was at the community center in Gulfport dropping off ballots at that time. And kids came up, I mean, young guys came up with handfuls, armfuls of ballots and stuffed them in the ballot box back there. Where did they get these?
Chicago.
Yeah. They ordered them from Chicago. And you're going to tell me that this election was fair and honest? I mean, I doubt there's any election that's completely
There's
fair.
never been a perfect election, no.
Yeah, but at any rate, so these claims that some of these reporters make, even the ones that you would think would be a little bit more conservative, like the Wall Street Journal, they don't have any research to back it up. They're not like me. They're not out there riding their bike through any kind of neighborhood in town. I mean, I didn't care. I'd ride through poor black neighborhoods. I never got mugged or anything. And they don't go down to the local community center and sit there and watch and see what happens. They don't know what's going on. Just a bunch of feet, nose up in the air. I know better than you.
Get in your private jet and fly away.
Yeah. And, you know, I work for the Wall Street Journal, so I'm somebody important. Yeah, well, let's see how many lives you've saved.
That's right. Well, you know what? Everything is instantaneous now. You read an article, it's maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs long, and you think you know.
Yeah, and there's no citations for references to research done. It's just basically they're op-eds, they're opinion pieces.
Yeah.
By
Most
people who have been trained to write.
They want the click. That's what they just want the click.
Yeah.
Really. So.
And that's not to say that we should not have a free press. We should, but I think that your point is very poignant and very correct in that people don't trust the press anymore. No. I mean, I think that there are times when they did and times when they didn't throughout our history, but certainly this is really a low point from what I can see.
Sure. I mean, back in the 30s, it was wide open. You could put anything you wanted in paper, and nobody would even sue you or even talk about it. But they brought that back because it got so bad that nobody would believe the newspapers or probably stopped buying them as well. And that's probably when they really felt it.
You know, we think that that in the past they were more moral and politically and sexually and all that correct. And of course, that's not true. There was I saw a video from the 30s, and I think it was in Life or Time or one of the magazines that had it. It was how to undress for your husband. And had a woman completely undressed and she's there naked. And I mean, this was in the national press. You do that today, oh my God, you'd have
Yeah.
you'll have a hailstorm of women and weenies yelling and screaming.
Well, they didn't call it the Roaring Twenties for nothing. Let me tell you.
I'm telling you. So at any rate, we've got police snipers and drones patrolling Maricopa County elections, ballot counting area there. And it's an epicenter of threats against election officials. And the election official says it's very dystopian. I doubt this is new. I'm sure that we had this, especially before the Civil War and after the Civil War. You know, there were liberal reporters in the North that pro-slavery guys would go and beat the crap out of and burn their businesses down.
Sure, in times like these, when it's very, combative.
Yeah.
And just in general.
Times have changed.
There are things that we argue about that are wrong. I mean, even from a founding fathers standpoint, take a look at I've been hearing things about. It sounds like there's a group out there somewhere trying to go after churches now for their political statements, but using the separation of church and state. What they don't seem to realize is that the whole reason for separation of church and state was to keep the state out of the church, not the church out of the state.
Yeah.
Somewhere it got turned around, or I'm not sure how that happened.
Well, I think part of the problem is that, you and I were raised Catholic, and a lot of Catholics in our generation voted with our feet, and we walked out because we didn't like what was going on. The priests were largely homosexual and pedophiles, and there were a number of them that were pedophiles. And I had one friend who went to seminary for a year or two, and he said he couldn't take it because it was just, the older guys making the younger guys do sexual acts to them. He said it was a horrible situation, and this is a problem. I mean, teenage boys are going to have sex, obviously, or they want to, but now we have most of the priests are just openly gay that are still in the church. The ones that aren't, they left and got married and families. So I think that there were a lot of problems, and I also think that, as I said in the past, things like plagues and epidemics, that we know these are not acts of God. These are not God punishing us. I shouldn't say acts of God, but God punishing us. If there is a God, and if it's a good father, what does it care? It's like you're grown up. Go do it yourself. Take care of you. Go make your own damn living, I mean, your kids grow up and you step back. I mean, if they ask for advice, you give it to them, but you got to let them go out and do their own thing, right?
Yeah, you got to let them make their own mistakes, too.
Yeah.
Really do. They're not going to listen to you.
And I think the whole idea of free will, which is inherent to our Western way of life and Western way of looking at things, and is the bedrock of a democracy like ours, is very important, and that we should be very cautious about interfering with that. Now, you look at Islam, and Islam has a very fatalistic approach. It's God's will. No, it's not. God's not willing you to be an idiot. I mean, you're doing it.
That's right.
I mean, if you think you're going to attack Israel and get off with a slap on the hand, you're not thinking. You don't know what's going on in the world. But I think it's important that we remember that free will is the bedrock of our philosophy and our way of life, whether it's free will in religion or free will in politics or free will in expressing our opinions. But again, I will say this, that I think you need to research. I think you need to earn the right to speak. That doesn't mean you can't speak. I'm just saying that if you're going to speak, you should have some credentials behind you that show that you've done your homework. You understand what I'm saying, Ken?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Add something to the discussion. Let's not don't regurgitate what you read.
I mean, if you just reread what CNN said, or with what some Wall Street Journal reporter said, that the false claim that there was no fraud in the 2020 election. Hell, there's fraud in every election. Give me a break. Right.
Even the smallest little local election, I'll bet you'll find fraud somewhere.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, I told you before about the Tilden Hayes election where 101% of South Carolina's eligible voters voted.
That's right.
One whole cemetery voted.
No kidding. Well, a talented town.
And actually, I think Tilden won the popular vote, and it went to Congress, and they were tied up for 2 or 3 months fighting over it. And finally, they made a deal that Tilden said, "I'll back out if Hayes will end radical Reconstruction in the South," and so he agreed to that. And then Tilden backed out, and the Electoral College gave it to Hayes, and Hayes didn't even win the popular vote.
I didn't know that. I thought that was a more recent phenomenon.
Nothing new under the sun, Ken.
guess not.
Nothing new. It's the same thing over and over. It's not the winners who write history. It's history. History writes history.
That's
Same
right.
things over and over. People don't read. They don't study. They don't know what's going on. It's just like we're marching ourselves into a world war because
Yes, we
they
are.
didn't look at what caused World War I and World War II.
That's right.
And here we are again.
And here we are on the precipice of
On
what
the
could
precipice.
really end everything.
And fortunately, the fascist regime in Iran is not powerful enough to really affect us directly, as Germany did. But certainly the Russians, they could cause more trouble in Europe.
Oh, yeah. They're still a very powerful nation.
Yeah, they're still powerful, and they're still one of the largest economies. So, the big five are
They've
the
got
United
plenty of oil.
States.
They got everything they need. Plenty of oil, all the minerals they could possibly need to make whatever it is they wanted to make. So,
And we've given them so much technology. Stalin said he could not have won World War II without American technology and American goods. Did you know that?
oh yeah, we sent them. They were part of the Allies, so they got
They got everything.
they got everything they wanted. Yeah.
One of the funniest things about that is when the Russians and the Americans met in Germany for the first time, when they had finally surrounded and the lines came together, all the Russian soldiers were like, "Why are you guys walking?" What do you mean? Well, we heard that every American GI had his own Jeep.
Yeah.
Of course, the Americans laughed about that, but
And the streets are paved with gold too. So come on by. Yeah.
you mean they're not?
No, not any town I've ever been in.
Well, if you see one that is paved, let me know. I'm going to come over there with my pickaxe. Get a little bit so I can retire.
When they connected the eastern and western portions of some rail line somewhere in the middle of South Dakota or something, they actually drove a gold spike into the ground at that point. People kept stealing it every time. They would replace it and people would steal it.
Well, yeah.
You can't just put gold out there in the middle of South Dakota, expect it to be there tomorrow.
It's like all of the pharaohs and their tombs and the pyramids. Hell, those things have been picked over for millennia. When the Romans conquered Egypt at the beginning of the new era, or whatever you want to call it, they would go and have vacations in Egypt just to see the pyramids. And the pyramids were 2,000 years old then.
How'd they build those things? I can't imagine how they put those together. But
Well, I actually had the lease on the heavy equipment.
oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was John Deere.
No, John wasn't around yet.
Okay.
That was Billy Deere,
His older uncle.
his uncle.
Yeah.
And at any rate, yeah, they had a hoist and they had ramps, and they could do it. And people say, "Oh, aliens did that." Oh, baloney.
No. They used pulleys and lots of manpower.
Yeah, and the Romans, they actually had a crane that was geared so well that two guys could get into this little hamster-like cage. It was pretty big though, and they could just walk around and they could lift multiple ton stones.
Wow.
And the stones that the Colosseum were built from, you know where they came from?
I have no idea.
When the Jews revolted for the second time, the Romans came in and crushed them, and that was one of the great diasporas of the Jews, and they just pushed them out to all parts of the empire, the edges of the empire, and they tore Herod's temple down. it, and they destroyed it. And they took the blocks from Herod's Temple, which at that time was the largest building structure in the Mediterranean. It was huge. And they put those stones on barges and took them back to Rome, and that's what they built the Colosseum with.
You're kidding. So when
Yep.
I was in Rome looking at the Colosseum, I was looking at.
You're looking at my people. You're looking at the Handelmans who were stone cutters back then. But it was a big burden because we had to carry those on our backs, and
Well, yeah, well, pretty heavy.
it was hard.
No, it's still amazing they did it back then, but they had a lot of time.
Oh, well, yeah, and we think that the pyramids were built with slaves. They were built largely by the citizens, so there was a tax, and if you could pay the tax, then you were okay. But if you couldn't pay your tax, then you could volunteer to go work on the pyramids for a year or two. And so you'd get room and board, and at the end of the day, you'd get a pitcher of beer and everything you needed to live. And that's how they built them. They got the citizens to do it, and everybody pitched in and helped out. I don't think that'd work here, Ken.
Probably not.
I don't think you could get half the people to even get out of their chairs and quit watching TV to come out and say hello.
That's very true. It's just the way things are now, people. I saw somebody did a very interesting thing. They went out and they filmed just American citizens just walking down the street. And then they went back and they found some film of American citizens walking down the street in the 1970s. The difference in the weights of the people from the 1970s, just walking down the street, just the general public, compared to what we were seeing today, was almost embarrassingly bad.
It's sad. It really is.
It really is.
And I think that this bleeds over into not only the physical but the mental aspects of our society. How are we going to turn that around? I don't know. It may be too late.
It's too late for this show because you only got about a minute left. So.
Okay, well, so here's the last thing I have to say, Ken. I'd heard that Netanyahu last week said that they would not attack nuclear or oil facilities in Iran, but I think that everything's on the table now after this attempt on his life, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Israelis take out their nuclear stockpiles and just put an end to that, which would be fine with me. I'm all for it.
Well, I think we're going to find out pretty soon.
Yeah, well, I think we are too. I think the Iranians are going to find out pretty soon too.
That's what I mean. They're going to find out pretty soon. Yeah.
Yep. Well, this is Dr. Bill, and I'm at 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. We do telemedicine now. A lot of people say, well, I don't have a computer or anything. You can just call on your phone, and my girls will set up a telephone appointment with you. So don't be afraid.
All right, Doc.
Bye.
Say goodbye, Doc. That's right.
Goodbye, Doc.
And as we say goodbye to Doc, we say hello to Jeffrey. Jeffrey, are you there, sir? Good morning.
Group. See them online today at mymoneyissafe.com.
At Simple Path Retirement, we don't answer to corporate management or shareholders. We answer to you. Start living your best life today. Visit simplepathretirement.com.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. Striking workers at Boeing will vote this week on a new offer that could end a walkout that has